Okay, so I've become really addicted to vampire things lately, and
Very much.
Okay.
True Blood. My interview with a vampire. What, you was watching Vampire Diaries at one point?
Can you just let it be for 2 seconds?
My bad.
Like I was trying to say, I've been getting really into vampire things, and now my opinion of vampires will remain the same. I hate vampires. But literary, it's great. Vampire stuff, all of it. Shows, movies, books, all of it. Girl, I love reading about vampires. Now, if vampires are real, vampires suck. All of them. So, I brought my sister to help me speak on Interview the Vampire because I personally love the show. I think it's like a 9.
I personally feel like the show was the interactions made you feel compelled, especially to the people that are very much older than everyone alive, but it still felt very human, so I'd give it maybe an 8.5.
So lower than me, but not by much. So I figured we would begin today, my sister, with character interactions. So I was going to start with Lestat, which is what the internet has deemed Louis and Lestat's name online.
Lestat. That's ugly, I'm sorry.
It is ugly, but if you'd like to start with Lestat.
Well, with Lestat, or Louis and Lestat, I feel as though they're a complicated relationship. Because I think that they were doomed to fail no matter what they did. Because to me, their relationship started off too much going on anyway. Louis had problems going in with his family, his race, because it was like early, at least 1920s.
Sexuality.
His sexuality of him being gay and him and the way he make his money. It was all everything was going on and everything was going wrong for Louis. On top of that, he wasn't really cool with his mother. Him and his mother had a weird relationship. They loved each other, but there was still some animosity. His sister and him were off in a way. They were okay. He could care less about his brother-in-law. And him and his brother, rest in peace Paul, had an interesting and intriguing relationship on top of that as well. I think he loved his brother most of all because his brother could keep him honest, but they still had an strange relationship. So when him and Lestat met and Lestat woke up from that long nap, they were already dealing with turmoil. So when he decided to turn him, it was a lot going on. So I think that they were doomed to fail, though I do believe that they loved each other. I think that there was truly a freedom that they had around each other, though maybe it was a little too much because they started to turn against each other because of their turmoil, really, about each other, about what's going on around them. I mean, the point where they turned a child, it was that bad. So I think when it comes to their interactions, it was a beautiful mess. You know what I mean? And in the words of our great singer, Lady Gaga, it was a bad romance.
Yeah, and to go off that point, I definitely agree. And just to go into a little more detail, I definitely agree, especially with how they were made. How Louis was made and how tragic that was on both Lestat, because nobody ever thinks about Lestat's version of how Louis was made. And thinking about it from his point of view, I've already seen a lover kill himself. You know what I mean? I don't want to go through that again. And everybody forgets that it was weeks. It may have even been a month, 2 months that Lestat was actually courting Louis. So I've already seen, and he's fallen in love. So I've already seen a lover kill himself. I don't want to have to rewatch that. I don't want to have to see it again. And Louis begging for the Lord to give him answers. But Lestat's I've already done that, and it gave me nothing. Like, the Lord never answered any of my prayers, any of my calls when I was in pain and hurting and needed help. So I'm going to help you in the best way that I can, in the way that Magnus didn't really help me but gave me a second chance at life. So, you know, it's in his way. I'm like trying to help you. I'm traumatized too, but in Louis' head, everything at this point has gone wrong for me. My brother killed himself. My mom really truly believes it's my fault. Like, of all things, it's me. Like, I would kill her child. My sibling. I couldn't imagine my mother accusing me of that. I actually couldn't imagine my mother fully believing that I had a part to play in my sibling's death. Like, that's a horrific fate. And, you know, his sister's eating off him, but also, you know, has something to say or two about his business. Like, girl.
And he's gay! He's gay! In a time where gay is a sin. Dude, he's also a Christian. He was in a literal church praying to a priest that he laid down with a man. He's, oh my god, like that must have been such a crazy and and confusing time for Louis to have to deal with not only your family going against you, do it all, seeing your brother kill himself, but on top of that, they kind of all, your family also know that something's wrong with you because you're gay, and you can't help that. You know what I mean? Like, that must have been heartbreaking and unfortunate, you know what I mean? Like, for him, it's like, I can't help this. This is not something I'm choosing. It's something that's just is me. And they wouldn't accept him. And at that time, he didn't accept him.
Right, to the point where, in the scene where Lestat meets Louis' family, and Grace goes, oh, you got Louis to an opera? And Lestat was like, yes. And then Louis like, yes, but you know, I had to leave halfway through. It was alright. Like, to the point where even little things about his life he won't even admit to his family, because the big thing he can't say. So there are just things that they can't know. Like, I just have to hide this. And he feels like he has nobody else to talk to except Lestat, but Lestat also eats off that. Lestat's like, you know, yes, I want this. He's talking to me. He's telling me all his deepest fears, all his deepest secrets. Like, this is what I needed. I wanted somebody to be open with me so I could be open with somebody else, so I can feel comfortable and they can feel comfortable. Like, I wanted love, and you're giving that to me, but as soon as I seduce you we do it, you're like running off to some, and then your brother dies, and then you promise to stay away from me. You literally avoid me after we do it, and then your brother dies and you beg a priest to, like, you want to kill yourself, but not only you want to kill yourself, but I'm the devil now. Like, it's just so much happening, and then in the moments leading up to his making that, it kind of all hits the fan immediately when he is made, because it's literally right there on the altar. Like, it's just a gorgeous storm. And it's hilarious that in the final season, and not the final season, there's more, but in the second season, in that scene where Louis and Lestat come back together, it's literally a storm.
It is.
Yes, but the first episode leading to Louis' makings, like this storm, but of Louis' life.
Yeah.
And then you get to the
end of the second season.
And then their final confrontation with each other, this final embrace, like, thank you for making me. I'm sorry I made it hell for you. Also, I'm sorry I killed our daughter. You know, this whole, like, but it's a literal storm happening outside. So it's an accumulation of their stormy romance, but also the storm that is the world around them too, which is hilarious because it's just like Paris. They were traveling through Europe in the middle of a war. Meanwhile, Louis was having a war within himself about killing his maker. Like, it's all of the choices this show makes.
Beautiful. They're so beautiful. And I truly love that at some point Louis just becomes so comfortable in himself, especially after the situation with Lestat, because at this point, first of all, you're old, so you have to get to a point of knowing yourself, loving yourself, being comfortable in yourself. Die like normal people die now. So you have to be able to live with yourself and this other person that you didn't conceive, but you made, and throughout the time. So I truly enjoy seeing Louis start to get comfortable, man, just comfortable, especially when he meets and is also courted a little bit by Armand. And in Paris, before we get to Paris, because I want to backtrack, because when they were moving through the war and him and Claudia had met the vampire who threw herself into a fire, I want to say that for Claudia, that must have been the most confusing and the most heartbreaking thing to see, because I think she kind of saw what this vampirism can do to someone, can truly do to someone. I think because she's seen, Louis and Lestat be together, but, kind of at odds, which for a lot of their relationship. She saw two people still trying to make this work, still trying to become and evolve as a vampire, but seeing someone willingly throw themselves into a fire because of the loneliness, I think that truly shook Claudia, but also kind of shook Louis at the same time. So when they got to Paris, they felt like this was a new start. I think before they met the Theatre des Vampires, they were starting, I think for at least Claudia, she was starting to give up. So when she met the vampires, it was like a renewal of life again. Oh, like these people, we can actually make this work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because that is kind of a tragic thing to witness. And then it's very tragic because you're looking for another way out also. Like, if it's not, and to Claudia, I don't want to be with Louis the rest of my life. You're kind of just my traveling companion. So if there are no other vampires, then that may be the only way out. And I don't want that to be true. So the other vampire they met, like, he had barely any humanity left, and that was her kid. And she was kind of, I don't know, she seemed like off as well. So then she throws herself into the fire, and like, they're at this point where Claudia's fed up with looking, but also not done. Louis is like, he's fed up with himself. He's fed up with her attitude, but also understands the attitude. So you can't really be that mad at the attitude. It's a whole accumulation of feelings, and it just makes sense that they go straight to where the war is most prominent.
Mm-hmm.
So, cause they're both at war within themselves, within the way that they feel. So it is very tragic. And to continue with Claudia, we could definitely talk about Claudia and Louis' interaction now, because
theirs is interesting, and they're the two pairing with Claudia we see the most.
Facts, because Lestat did have his time, with Claudia, but in the beginning it was nice, it was cute, it was like mother, daughter, daddy, it was a whole thing. The problem is that you give somebody a dog that never wanted a dog, how well are they really going to treat the dog? You see what I'm saying? And not to be rude to Claudia and call her a dog, but in Lestat's head, you weren't anything but that.
Yeah.
You were a toy to be given to Louis because he promised to stay with me if I gave you to him. So that's what I did. That didn't go well either, because then you picked the dog over me. And then I don't really see you as a human being, as another vampire, like, until you plot and execute the plan to kill me. And then I made the wrong vampire the whole time. Louis was never gonna be the perfect vampire, but Claudia executed that perfect. She was the one he should have made the whole time. Not really, you should make kids, obviously, but in the sense that she was a better vampire than Louis was. What he was looking for in Louis, Claudia had. So it's this very nuanced relationship they have. I think I didn't dislike. I think Lestat could have been a better father. And he just never was, but he was always detached, because it's never like she was like dad and dad. It was never Daddy Lou and Daddy Les. It was always Daddy Lou and Uncle Les. He was never seen as a father in her eyes anyway. So why would I act like a dad? So it kind of gave him an easier out too, to like distance himself mentally so that he would never have to take her in, his heart. Yeah. And then he does end up taking him into her heart once he sees that you're exactly who I wish Louis had been. And then it's too late. Like, we're already at the trial. We're already in this place of like, I can't save you. I have to save Louis. I have to save Louis. He's the only reason I came here. So it's this really hard situation for him, and I do feel for him, but also you could have been a better father when she was still alive. Right. Like, you could have treated her better if she was still alive. Like, taunting her was what happened with Bruce. Come on. Yeah. Come on. You've been through that. But you've been through that. Like, how dare you throw it back in her face, but what happens to you, you were supposed to sit and cry.
Right. And with that as a topic, I'm going to switch over to Louis and Claudia's relationship, because Louis and Claudia's relationship has got to be the most realistic relationship for kind of like a father-daughter, in a way of like, they or Claudia's eyes. In the beginning, before the situation of the fight between Lestat and Louis, and after she had disappeared for 7 years, they had a father-daughter relationship, where she went to him and they were all like a little family and they got along and it was all cute, and she had her room with her diaries and they had their room, and sometimes she would go with them, and they had a family dynamic before she left. But when the rifts started to happen between them and she decided that she wanted to explore, she wanted to see more, especially after killing her first love and draining that boy, when she decided to leave, and then Bruce, it hurt something in Louis, because Louis I believe, truly saw her I think he saw Claudia more as a daughter than he saw a sister, or a throw pillow, as Armand would like to say.
My daughter was my sister, was my throw pillow.
But yeah, not just as a daughter, but also as a salvation, because that's what she was always meant to be anyway.
Yes.
I need you to be my salvation. And then after time and time of Lestat's attitude and her attitude and them never getting along, the whirlwind that was that family, she needed out. He realized he could no longer protect his daughter or care for her in the way that she needed to be cared for. She leaves. He breaks.
Yes, breaks. He was mentally gone.
Yes. And there was and he becomes even more resentful, because now I blame Lestat not just for losing my family, my culture, my color. Right. I've also now lost my kid. So it's like, you're taking everything from me. I can't have anything near you. Like, I can't take you nowhere on times 10.
Yeah, basically.
For Louis, it's like, why can't I have anything? Like, you literally want to be
all
the only person that I ever have around me. And that's it's hard for Louis to comprehend, because who wants to be around somebody that wants to be everything to you all the time?
Yeah.
That's abuser mentality. You can't have anybody else but me.
Right.
It's too much. And then even when Lestat lets him have Claudia, I can't even have her fully, because she wants to be, because she's a kid. She's a kid who turns into an adult who's still in the body of a child and wants to be loved. But I can't love you in that way. I'm like gay and an adult and your parent. Lestat's non-discriminating, but he's also your parent. Nobody in this house is going to look at you like, oh, let's have sex. So the only way you can go find it is to go find other vampires, because Lestat's not going to make you another vampire. And then Lestat's like, no, don't go out there. You do not want to see what's out there. I promise you, you don't want to see it. And she goes and finds it and finds out he was right. Like, it's this whole whirlwind of nuance between Louis and Claudia, but also Lestat's like overseer, big brother energy over their relationship the whole time.
Absolutely.
He is the rift between
him and Claudia.
For sure. But then
Louis and Claudia.
Right. And then when they're never my thoughts were away. Louis and Claudia. When they get away from Lestat, it's still tragic. Like, they bank their problems on Lestat alone.
Yes.
It's Lestat, he's a problem. You get away from Lestat and you still have problems.
Yeah.
Because Lestat wasn't the entire issue. You just refused to see it because he was the loudest one.
Yes.
So him being the loudest problem, you immediately, Lestat's the issue. Like, everybody watching the first season thought Lestat was a bad guy. And then you get to see his point of view, but not just his point of view, but more so Claudia as an adult and how she kind of transforms into Lestat with boobs. And like this whole thing, it kind of makes you feel like everybody here is in the wrong. Because it's not just Lestat that is the issue. Claudia herself is part of the issue, but so is Louis. Louis is the reason she was even made in the first place. Absolutely. When he should have taken her to a hospital, he took her to Lestat and then forced Lestat to make her, and then blames everything else that ever happens on Lestat until you're like 100-something years old and now that I have, hindsight. Like, you couldn't see that in the moment you were the problem this whole time. Ugh.
That's the human aspect that Louis kind of was trying to cling on to. You know what I mean? He never truly tried to let go of his humanity. And through the season that we saw in the past, he never truly did. And that's what the thing that irritated Lestat, but also So that's the part that kind of intrigued Armand as well. But also invertedly kind of annoyed Claudia too. Like Claudia was also like, ugh, these humans mean nothing. They're nothing. They're ants to us. You need to be around your people. You need to start embracing the value that is being vampire, that is vampirism. But that just wasn't Louis. And Claudia kind of adapted that you need to let it go mentality as well. And that also hurted their relationship. She never fully forgave Louis for ever choosing Lestat over her. Never. I think she kind of accepted and tolerated Louis and being like, you are a father figure to me. You are everything. You're the only thing that I have at the moment that reminds me of the past. You are the one I know I can trust if anything were to happen, but in her mind, I don't think she fully forgave him. So when these other vampires came around, it was easy to kind of Louis go and choose them and choose to be one of them.
I completely agree with that. I definitely agree. It was more so toleration than love at that point. Like when they leave, and they finally get away from Lestat and go to Europe, it's more so toleration. I need you around more so than I want you around. Mm-hmm. Even when he's giving the like, you and me and you, Lestat's sitting right there beside her in his mind. It's like, okay. Sure. Who are you talking? It's kind of like, yes, sure. I mean, I guess for now. And I'm sure Claudia was thinking the same thing because all she said was, okay. She never really gave him much to go off of because you never gave her much to go off of. Every single time it was time to choose Claudia, you chose Lestat. Even in the event of his death, you still didn't actually kill him. He's still breathing. So for you to go into Paris with all this guilt, like, yeah, I killed my maker, but you didn't. You saved him. You saved him from dying. Claudia was going to kill that man. But you put your hands on her to stop her from killing Lestat instead of just letting him go. And you can't blame the maker bond because he made her too. She was still willing to kill him. She didn't want to hear none of that. He put me through pain. He stopped me from going to meet other vampires the second time. Like, I need to get away from this man for life, is what Claudia was thinking. And Louis is more so like, if he dies, he dies, but I don't want anything to do with it. So I'm just going to save him and then we call it a day. We'll just throw him in some dump waste somewhere and that'll be enough death for him. But that's not death. You just tortured him for a little while. And then he comes back to the trial and decides it's your turn to feel some pain. I don't disagree. Like, you tried to kill this man. Like, you went through you slit his neck. Like, you deserve this. And he still didn't let you die. It's just a whole lot of nuance between their relationships. And I don't know. I think, so to wrap up Louis and Claudia, I just think that their relationship is definitely something to be deeply analyzed just because of how insane it was from the making of her, the traumatic, I saved you, but you didn't save her. And then how, she never got the love she needed from Lestat as another father, but also the love she got from Louis wasn't enough. It never was. It was never going to be. Because you loved her, but you never chose her. It's a whole lot of... It's a storm. It's another storm he set himself into.
Yeah.
Like Lestat told him when he made Claudia, this is a choice that will mess you up for the rest of your life. You'll never forgive yourself for this. And Lestat was correct again. Don't go meet other vampires. Correct. Don't make this girl. Like, take her somewhere else. We can't save her. Correct again.
Yeah.
Like, Lestat, in as much as he is a horrible person.
Selfish.
It's not like he's really wrong. He's just selfish.
Yes.
He's just selfish.
Yes.
That's the worst you could say about Lestat. Meanwhile, Armand's a mental manipulator. Louis is a self-made victim. And Claudia is this horrific people eater who'll kill anybody, anytime. She has no humanity or mercy left in her.
Well, Lestat was also very mean with his words.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He wasn't just selfish.
Facts. Yeah, no, he's definitely an abuser in a way. But I also think there was other ways out of it. Louis just liked it. I think he needs the turmoil that is Lestat. Like, I need to have some kind of pushback. I need to fight something. Because I think he's just into that. Like, I think he has a thing for that. Because when Armand's not pushing back, you're just at all times of the day agreeing with everything that I say. You're boring.
He would have irritated me.
And on that note, we can go to the next interaction, which is our Armand and Louis. You're boring.
You're boring, dude.
You just all day, every day, you just say what I want to hear. Meanwhile, Lestat's like, that's ugly. Take that off.
I don't agree. I don't like it. That's not it. Ew. Like, Lestat will give you a range of emotions. While Armand, he's really, throughout the season, he's very two-faced, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
He'll say and agree and stand stiff, act stiff, be stiff. My God, he's talking to a board with no emotions. But then, on the flip side, is so conniving. I think that's the word I'm thinking of. Conniving, thank you. So conniving, so manipulative, two-faced in him. Mother, okay? That man, I truly believe, is deserving of death as much as everyone else in the theater. But, whatever.
Yeah, and I think Louis definitely needs that turmoil, that fire, that storm.
Passion.
That's what he got from both Lestat and Claudia. He got the storm that was this steamy pile of love, whether it was daughter-father love or romantic love. It was always a storm. It was always a war. It was always a fight. And I think he needed that fight. Because when you get to, his relationship with Armand, and by the way, Lestat's like, I'm gonna get you out of the house too. I'm gonna get you to doing things with your life. You might be a vampire, but we can still enjoy ourselves. Life's about enjoying ourselves. It's about pleasure now that we're undead. And meanwhile, Armand just lets Louis sit in his depression. He doesn't try to get him out of it. He doesn't, let's go somewhere, let's do something. You just sit in your depression and I'll yes mature you to death. So when he's like, you're boring, you're offended.
Out on your feet from the drugs you stopped
This is boring. You're boring. You are so boring.
But what are you doing to not be boring? Like, do something. Get him out of the house. Like, get yourself out of the house. Do something interesting, But you're like this sad heap of yes man. And then when Louis is kind of in this place, like, I don't want to be yes man anymore. I want you to do something. Why are you here if we're just gonna sit in this stew of I'm sad and depressed and you don't care? Or you care too much to the point where it's like you're sitting in this sad heap of depression with me. I don't want to sit in no sad heap of depression. Like, fight me for it or do something interesting. Like, Louis wants storm and Armand is more so manipulative than a fighter. I'll put my thoughts in your head before I ever fight you. But Lestat's like, let's fight. We can fight all day. If you don't want to eat humans, that's fine. But I'm still gonna fight you for it. Because it's just who he is. Meanwhile, Armand lets Louis do anything he wants, and that's boring. It's their relationship's completely contempt. It's completely, you're just here. Mm-hmm. If Armand was to get up and walk away, I don't think Louis would do too much to try to get him back. I don't think Armand would definitely, please. But I don't think Louis would. I think Louis would be more so,
Oh, that's sad. And then move on.
Right. Because you're just here. You're not really what I wanted in a partner anyway. So I'm just kind of holding on to something that's more so not broken, but it was never really fixable. Because you killed my daughter. You had a large part to play, whether he knew it or not. Mm-hmm. You had a large part to play in killing my daughter. And in no way, nothing you ever said or did was going to have me forgive you for those actions. So it was more so not a fixable relationship either. He walks out of one relationship that was unfixable and walks right back into another one, except this one's not a storm. It's just a quiet, silent beach that you sit on. And you just sit there and you stare out into the horizon thinking, when is the storm? Where are the waves? You know what I mean? Like, it's just this horrendous, never-ending boredom. And Louis can't handle it. He hates it. But I'm content because
it's nothing like my first relationship.
Right. At least I have something to hold on to. Meanwhile, I had nothing. to hold on to when I was with, Claudia or Lestat.
Yeah.
But even with, it being nothing like his relationship with Lestat, he was still in the coffin with Lestat. He was still close and hugging, and even when I hate you, I don't want you around me, Lestat's doing something to make you forgive him again. Or he's, fighting for your attention. He wants to hold you.
Yes.
Right. And meanwhile, Louis can't fly, right? So why are all the books in the air? Like, he can't reach that. Was he climbing the shelves? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not really giving me much, so much that you're taking knowledge from me too.
That's hilarious. Look at climbing the shelf. LOLs. No, but for real, like, I think it showed multiple times how much that Armand kind of had control
over everything.
Too much. Literally too much. Like in the point in the show where he's talking about the photos he took and how much of an amateur he was, and then he goes to point out the photos, and the photos they give him are of other artists. And he's looking at Armand like, why are these other artists in the box supposed to be about me?
And then Armand pretends he had nothing to do with it.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe you did it. You were in such a state. Maybe you did it.
Then I would actively pick other people's pictures and think it's mine.
Come on. Because the thing is, he looked at the pictures, immediately knew exactly all the artists it came from. So why would I ever, in any state, pick some other photos and pretend they're mine in my head? Like, that never happened, and you're gaslighting him into thinking he did this. You definitely did it. Well, if it's not your fault, it must be Rashid. But it's anybody but me. He's controlling everything, so far as the thoughts in his head.
Yes.
What happened during the trial.
What happened during San Francisco.
Everything.
I truly, I know there's a lot of people thinking Louis killed the baby. We're going to get to that another time.
Oh, Lord.
But I think my unpopular opinion is I don't think that Louis asked Lestat to erase San Francisco.
Armand,
excuse me, I said Lestat. I don't think Louis asked Armand to erase what happened in San Francisco. I think Armand saw, this is too much turmoil, this makes me look bad, I don't like it, whatever. Let me erase it from you and him so it can never come up. I don't have to deal with it.
Right, because what's the story that Armand told? He said, I protect Louis from things Louis can't protect himself from. How are you protecting somebody from themselves?
And you know who says that word for word?
Abusers!
Louis! He said the exact same thing, word for word, the exact same sentence. Armand is the one who protects me, even from things I can't protect myself from. He says it word for word. That's literally what happens if you're trying to implement something.
Like, Armand has control over a lot that happens within the 77 years.
Yes.
And Louis just kind of goes with it because you're something I can hold on to, but not really something that I can...
They don't question it either.
No, he never really questions it because I'm content here.
Not until Daniel comes around. And honestly, round of applause for Daniel. Love that guy.